Chapter 5. The Campaign. Technoblade. He hated them all. Those disgusting hermits. How could they chat and build all day without a care in the world while so many people suffered under the injustice of governments? Weak, all of them. They were worse than oppressors. They were pacifists. And now, they were going to have an election. That's how it always starts out. A free and fair election. The next thing they know, the rich are sitting on thrones made of diamond blocks while the rest of them barely scrape by on 2 nuggets of gold. No, not again. Techno wouldn't let that happen to anyone ever again. Even the deal he made with the devil was just a means to an end. The Abyss. That's what it called itself. It was made of hate and anger just like Techno's. No, nothing like Techno's. That thing was just born from chaos and it would die from chaos. Techno acted like he was subservient, but really he needed that creature to weaken the hermits and divide them. That was when he would strike. The thing had already proven useful, taking out Doc M77. It let him control more monsters at once, but still not enough for a complete takeover. No, for that he would need some more feed. He would have to target the second strongest warrior in the world, and he knew just the girl who might make herself into a worthy opponent. Grian. Was Grian saddened over Doc's sudden disappearance and possible death? Of course he was. But did this give him an opportunity for more pranks? Absolutely. Mumbo Jumbo wasn't at the shopping district when everything went down, which meant he was blissfully ignorant of the coming election. Grian thought it would be hilarious if he entered Mumbo's name into the race without him knowing. But first, Grian would need to build and plan. He got to work at his desk, sketching, painting, and drawing until he had the perfect design. He hung his finished campaign poster up on the wall. A simple white background with red letters that spelled out Mumbo for mayor, and in the bottom left was a depiction of Mumbo Jumbo's signature mustache. It was beautiful. It told you everything you needed to know in 3 words. However, this would not be enough. Grian then flew out to the ocean just offshore of the shopping district, which had become a default capital for the hermits. From the bottom of the ocean floor, he built a small campaign office suspended above the water by 4 pillars. Of course, he made the office in the shape of Mumbo's mustache. He decorated the space with a table and a wall of campaign posters, being sure to save some to spread around the area. The shopping district would be a well-traveled area after all, and he wanted to start planting subliminal messages early in the game. He had taken it upon himself to become Mumbo Jumbo's campaign manager. Now he only hoped Mumbo would agree to run. B00-100. B-Dubs had a plan. He always had a plan. While Green and Stress would be off making campaign posters, his candidate Scar would be making plans. He would make promises, and then he would show how he would deliver on said promises. The Abyss crisis was important. No one could dispute that. But just as important as being a leader in a time of war was being one in a time of peace. They began with infrastructure, as any good politician should. Right by the edge of the water, he and Scar worked together on 3 short road designs. They left a series of signs explaining that if Scar got elected, the hermits would vote on which road they liked the best, and Scar's cabinet would get to work building it. This stunt alone shot them up in the polls. Next, B-Dubs went to appease the media. There was a newspaper based out of the shopping district called the Hermit Times. He made sure that his guy Scar was regularly giving interviews so that he could be within reach of the people. B-Dubs couldn't dedicate all his time to the campaign, of course. He had a business to run, the demolition business. He had quite literally carved out a living for himself by removing large chunks of land that no hermit wanted to spend their time removing. His flawless strategy was to set up TNT dropping machines from the sky and let them blow apart the stone and dirt. He worked at a company called the Boomers with his friends Tango and Impulse. Together, the 3 of them would turn their business into another campaign tool for Scar. They had recently been contracted by False Symmetry to destroy a large area of stone. However, she was broke. Flat broke. She could only afford to pay them 64 diamonds, so they did a 64 diamond job. The 3 built their TNT dropping machine over the target zone. However, they arranged it so that dropping TNT would spell out Vote Scar. Or at least that's what it was supposed to say. "You idiots!" B-Dub screamed at Tango and Impulse as they stood on top of False's tower, with a perfect view of the words set in stone. Vote Scap. It appeared that the end of their R had malfunctioned. "What is Scap?" Super crazy awesome pancakes?" Tango fumbled. "Yeah, they're running too," Impulse joined in. "They got my vote." B-Dubs rubbed his forehead. He loved these people to death, but sometimes he wondered how hard it could be to hook up a simple redstone device. Eventually, they found the problem in their machine and got it working. The message was clear. Vote Scar. Carved out of stone and visible for anyone flying over the area. The best part of all this was that they got paid to make a campaign advertisement. To B-Dubs, this was the best day ever. Mumbo Jumbo. Mumbo had built a little shrine in the jungle. This is what he had been doing during his sudden disappearance. He was starting a new event called Hermit Challenges, and he had invited Grian to be the first participant. The way it worked is simple. They would each write down a challenge for the other on a piece of paper and then throw it into a fire if they accepted the challenge. Mumbo had already written his challenge for Grian. Steal everyone's doors forever. He had left pen and paper in the center of the shrine for Green to write down his challenge as well. The shrine got cold at night. It was just a small ruined building Mumbo had constructed in a few hours. Around them was a small stone wall, easy to jump over. And of course, in front of them was the all-important fire of acceptance, the only source of warmth in the area. Green flew out of the darkness and landed in front of Mumbo. "Good news, Mumbo, you're running for mayor," Green said. Out of all the conversation openers Mumbo had expected Green to start with, this was not one of them. A simple, "What?" was all that could pass Mumbo's mustache. "Yeah, Doc died and now everyone's in a panic about the abyss. Green, we die all the time and wake up fine. Well, no one's seen Doc since the incident, and they're all afraid something bad happened to him." Mumbo, of course, had heard about the monster roaming the world, but he never suspected it would get this serious. And now Green expected him to deal with it? "What makes you think I'd make a good candidate?" Mumbo asked. "I just thought it would be funny," Green replied. "Plus, Mumbo for mayor just works, you know?" Clearly, Green was in denial, so Mumbo decided to humor his friend and help him work through this sudden tragedy. "All right," said Mumbo. "I'm going to run for mayor." "Yay!" Green said as he jumped for joy. "Now you wanted to show me something?" "Yes, welcome to Hermit Challenges. Write down a challenge for me." Green thought for a moment before turning to the paper and quickly scribbling something down before handing it to Mumbo. Mumbo handed Green his piece of paper and they both read their challenges at the same time. "Get good?" Mumbo said aloud. "What does that mean?" "Well, what does mine mean?" Green proclaimed. "I have to steal doors forever?" Mumbo had already accepted the challenge in his mind, and despite its vagueness, he would rise to the occasion. "All right, Green, if you don't want to do it, what you really don't want to do is this. Because that means you've accepted the challenge." Mumbo threw his paper into the fire of acceptance, announcing to the flames that he was going to get good. "Got it," Green replied. "So just do this to get rid of it?" Green threw his paper into the flames. It burned before Mumbo could stop it. "No, that means you've accepted it," Mumbo corrected. "Were you not listening?" "Oh no," Green shouted as he broke out into hysterical and nervous laughter all at the same time. "I have to steal doors for the rest of my life? Well, I gotta get good, and I don't even know what that means." The two of them had a good laugh as they flew off into the night to complete their tasks. If Mumbo was going to be mayor, then he needed to present himself as someone more electable. He removed his flashy hobbit attire, grew 3 feet taller, and put on his traditional suit and tie. Mumbo had already looked the part of the mayor from day one. He trimmed his signature mustache and looked at himself in the windows of his hobbit hole. Hobbit hole? A politician couldn't live in a hobbit hole. He would have to build something much grander for himself later. For now, he made plans to visit his campaign office and set up meetings with his manager. Night light. Light traveled across the nether roof. It was supposed to be impossible to get up there, and yet that's what happens when you have a bunch of geniuses lying around. You find a way. The roof was just a flat bedrock plain as far as the eye could see. It was a boring landscape, but it didn't have any monsters. And since bedrock was unbreakable, it meant that thing couldn't get up there. The hermits had set up a network of portals in the nether roof so they could fast travel. After all, 1 meter in the nether was 24 meters in the overworld. This was the only spot in the nether she felt safe, since it was a solid, smooth bedrock floor that completely covered the top of the realm with not a monster or structure in sight. It was hard to get up to, but once one person managed to get through the netherrack roof, they could easily find the cracks in the bedrock behind it necessary to get through it. There was no way she was going back down into the normal nether. In fact, most hermits avoided it like the plague now. Some had even destroyed their portals. Light reflected on Beth's outburst at X. She hated confrontation, but at the same time she never blamed X. He wasn't an official leader. It wasn't his job to fix this. If only more of them had taken her seriously. Her thoughts were interrupted when she came across a large, strange device. It was long and made of colored concrete. Lights ran down the center of it, and beneath the lights were lines of colored concrete going for different lengths. Signs surrounded the mechanism reading, "Under construction, do not touch." Light supposed she would come back when the signs were gone. Boss Beth. Beth cut down zombie after zombie as they shambled towards her. She had hooked an underground zombie spawner to a series of water streams so they would drop in the 4 corners of her underground training room at random intervals. She'd even set up some basic redstone so that there would be a switch on the wall to block the zombies from coming in when she was taking a break. She didn't decorate the room. It wasn't worth decorating. The walls were made of the same stone she carved out to make it. There were some random blotches of red granite and white diorite, but that was what was there when she made the room. Beth needed to become stronger. Technoblade had almost killed her effortlessly, so she needed stronger opponents. She tried splashing the zombies with strength potions, but the potion always got splashed onto her too, evening the playing field once again. She just needed more training, more monsters, more time. No, she didn't have more time. Technoblade and that monster were planning to consume everyone, and they needed to be stopped. Green slid down the only ladder into the chambers. "Hello, Beth. Would you be interested in—" Green was interrupted by a group of 3 zombies charging toward him. He let out a surprised yell. Beth moved into action and threw a stone axe at a zombie's head, pinning it to the wall and killing it. She then grabbed her bow and ran towards Green as she leaped into the air and fired 2 arrows at once into the 2 remaining zombies, slaying them. She quickly flipped the switch on the wall and closed the 4 hatches and cut off the zombie flow into the room. "You know, there's better ways to get rotten flesh," Green remarked. I'm training, Beth said, for when that thing comes back. Must have really shaken you up then. I'm fine. I just have to be ready. Ready for what? To protect Light. Why her specifically? Because I love her. Beth answered truthfully and instantly regretted it. Why Grian? Why did she tell Grian before Light? I knew it! Grian exclaimed. What? Come on, mate. The constant blushing around each other is kind of a dead giveaway. I thought I was being more subtle. You thought wrong. Beth leaned against the wall and slid down until she was sitting. Grian sat down next to her on the hard, cold stone floor. I just want her to be okay. She doesn't have to love me back. I just want her to be safe. Grian thought tactfully about his response. Should he advise or just listen? The silence was awkward, so he decided to advise. Who better to be in love with than your best friend? But what if I tell her and I ruin everything? Well, if your friendship can be destroyed by a few emotions, it probably wasn't that strong to begin with. Grian didn't know if she'd take offense to that, especially considering her blow-up at X, but it was the truth. Beth sat on Grian's words. You're right, but that doesn't mean I'm any less scared. Grian knew it would cheer Beth up. Come on, he said. I have something to show you. Grian got up and began to climb back up the ladder. Beth could tell Grian's mind was made up and he wouldn't reveal any more until they got to wherever they were supposed to go, so Beth began her climb as well. They emerged in the cobblestone box Beth made to set her bed down in. It was nothing fancy, just a few torches for Light, a crafting table, and a few chests. Usually, Light helped her build her bases, and by that she meant aspire to build a base together, but Light would get too excited and build the whole thing while Beth was asleep. She loved how much building motivated her. Grian turned away from the base outside and ignited a rocket to fly off the ground and into the sky. Beth took off her chestplate and put on her own elytra that Light had given her as she looked for her rockets. She had left her stash somewhere. She eventually found her small stash of rockets and turned to follow Grian out her... Wait, where was her door?